So I'm going live at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. in the middle of the night because um, the people I talk to in my small think tank, I believe we figured out what's been going on lately and why. If you look at the thumbnail, there are two men who I've been following since 2020, both of them. I found out about both of them because I was looking for other people who supported Trump. Both of these men have been consistent since I was introduced to them. They've both been pretty stable, pretty consistent, and their moral compass was calibrated a certain way. In recent times, I've watched these two men and their morals and their values completely change in a snap. And I hate to sound like I'm against relationships and marriage, but in my experience in business and in life, the only time I've ever seen that happen is when you were being pressured by your woman. Tim Pool recently got married. Most people don't know this until it's too late. But no matter how successful you are as a man, once you have a wife, the pressure that these women exude on us can change us. Many men are in prison doing life because they were trying to earn more money for women, money that they didn't necessarily need before they got with these women. You know, I was watching Piers Morgan make fun of Nick Fuentes for being a virgin. I think about it now, how much of a distraction throughout my life I have been chasing women, chasing sex, lusting over women. How many decisions in my life were poor decisions that I made, but I wanted to be in proximity to women. I wanted to impress women. I was looking to get sex from women. I wanted women to like me a certain way. I think of that blind spot and I realize that Nick has an extreme advantage because he does not have that lust blinding him so that he can't see the path in front of him. If men made better decisions when it came to women, who knows where a lot of us could be by now? All of a sudden, Tim Pool's behavior is changing. And the reason I've been following this guy all these years is because he never seemed like he was just all about money. He seemed like he cared about the future of the country. He seemed pretty consistent with that. And he would read the news. He didn't really want to go too far each way. He was a milquetoast fence sitter. So when he talks about needing all this security and people want to kill him, and I'm like, for what? What's so controversial about you? So in my opinion, his security team's scamming him, and his security team's been staging all the swattings and this fake shooting the other day. It's all from his security team keeping him paranoid so that they can keep digging into his pockets every day, every week, every month. Maybe Tim Pool was thinking about changing his budget. Maybe because he's doing less views now, he wanted to cut some of their hours with the security. Maybe he doesn't think he needs them anymore. And right when he's about to cut the budget, the security team stages a false shooting to make him think that you need us because we're the only thing standing between you coming home and seeing your wife and daughter slaughtered. The only thing stopping that is this security team. So you're going to need to keep paying us. I think he's being set up. I think his security team's his problem playing with his mind. But what's he going to do? Change security teams? Maybe he has a hard time finding people willing to travel to the middle of nowhere for a pointless security detail that nobody wants. Because I'm pretty sure it requires the security detail to have to stay on site. So they're even away from their family. But the thing is, besides that, I'm noticing, well, all of us in the conservative media space, we've heard the rumors, and apparently the rumors are true. Israel has been passing out money like hotcakes to anyone willing to share pro-Israel propaganda. Let's just be honest. They want to win favor with the public. TPUSA was how they were able to get the young people, but they're still middle-aged people, people in their 20s, older people that still need to be influenced. And I think that Tim Pool's recent diatribe and him going at Candace was him creating his audition reel to be one of the next people that Israel comes to start getting money. And I think that he has the job. Now, I've never seen something like this before in my life until Officer Tatum started doing this.
Y'all keep praying for me. I said, I want them to turn that place into a parking lot.
He's talking about the Gaza Strip, where 2 million people, 2 million Palestinians, men, women, but mainly children, where they live. He said at this Republican Jewish Coalition conference, he said he think that they should turn that place into a parking lot. Basically, he wants them to ethnically cleanse this entire swath of land. Now, this is a black dude from the hood in Texas. He's not Israeli. He doesn't speak Yiddish. He's not Jewish. He probably has never even came in contact with anybody of Jewish descent until the last maybe 6 months of his life. But look at what he says.
I got to preface it because somebody going to clip this and put it on the internet. Not because of the Palestinian people per se, individual people, but because if you dare to do such an atrocity to people that I love, people that I respect, people that are chosen by God, you decide to do something like that.
Brandon Tatum, what do you mean people that are chosen by God? Brandon, they're Jewish. So you're saying they're chosen by God, then what are you? So they're chosen by God because they're Jewish and you're not. Brandon Tatum, what's the word they have for people like you? They call you golem. They call you the golem. You're according to the Talmud, you are unworthy, uncleansed. You are a slave to them. You are no more than an animal, like a sheep. You are not one of them. So to watch him put down not only just his country, his race, his family, he put another group of people in their country above his own and said that they are the people chosen by God. He didn't say we're all children of God. We're all chosen by God. He said they're chosen by God. This is one of the most pathetic, disgusting things I've ever seen in my adult life because I've never seen him talk about Israel or any country or any other people in this manner. And I've watched this man damn near daily for years. So the reason that I can look at what's going on with Tim and say, wait a minute, I see a pattern here. See, the way it works is you don't go to Israel and say, hey, I want you to give me money. Let me work for you. What you do is you make yourself so valuable that they come to you. But that's going to require that you're attacking their adversaries openly. You have to have a platform and you have to come out and attack Palestinians, Palestinian children, the Hamas. You got to come out and attack their enemies. The biggest and most powerful enemy to Israel lately is a woman, a mother of four, who has a show in the United States. She's not a politician. She's not an elected official. She's not on city council or any kind of school boards. She's just a woman with a show. by the name of Candace Owens. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, a man who's also a podcaster who literally has no connections to her, what she eats does not make him shit. She's not literally not connected to him at all. He does his own thing. She does his own thing. But lately, this has been his rhetoric.
This is what happens after Charlie Kirk is killed. Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate cunt. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And
now, how could a woman who's at a studio in Tennessee, who's not an elected official, she's not your mother, she's not your pastor, she's not a god, how is she magically burning everything down and causing anyone to suffer simply because she's asking reasonable questions about what happened to her friend that was suspiciously murdered in front of thousands of people, and millions or billions of people around the world have watched the footage in just the last 2 months? How is somebody like that burning everything down? Well, the short answer is she's not. But why would someone as morally sound and level-headed as Tim Pool, out of the blue, go on a entire week diatribe slamming and calling this mother who's actually married and she has a husband? These are fighting words. Why is he so obsessed and focused on this woman that he's otherwise not even connected to? They're not on any boards together. She's not even a member of the Republican Party. So how can she cause the midterms to be lost? She's just doing a show asking questions. If people are going to say, hey, I was going to vote conservative, but because Candace Owens is asking questions, that other group over there on the left that are talking about mutilating kids, opening the borders, and doing more lockdowns, I'm just going to vote for them. Well, then we're screwed either way if that's how it's going to go. This makes no sense, but there's only been one other time in recent history I've seen a principled man like this change. When there's money on the table, a woman will be they call them chatons. It's like they whisper in your ear. Again, there's a lot of men doing a lot of time in jail. There's a lot of men who have filled up graveyards because there was a woman that was talking to them about doing things that would go against their typical morals to make more money. See, now that Tim Pool is married, all of a sudden, he's a different man than he was a year ago today. I've never seen him talking about such stress. He typically brags about how wealthy he is, but he's not bragging about his wealth anymore. This is his conversation now. Watching this video after seeing him tear into Candace for over a week, this is how we figured out that whole week was just an audition reel to attract Israel to him, because this is his current mind state of today.
where does it leave us? We have 2 weeks left in the year before we go on our Christmas hiatus. You know, I'm not a big fan of any kind of hiatus. I would prefer just to work. But it is taxing. It is grueling, of course. And there's a lot of infrastructure here that requires me to work all day, every day, Monday to Friday, with some extra work on the weekends, usually meetings. And
by the way, sir, you make videos for a living in a studio. One problem, unfortunately, that a lot of us entrepreneurs make when we're new to money is we bite off more than we can chew, meaning we incur high overhead and we should be, living with a lower threshold of expenses. Tim's overhead is too high because he came in, he made a bunch of money, and he didn't know what to do with it. And he thought the gravy train was going to be never ending because it was pretty stable. But you have to account for the fact that the sun doesn't shine forever. There are going to be low times, and I don't think he budgeted that out. He's hitting those low times. His number hacking Candace dropped his numbers even lower. And again, the show hasn't been as interesting lately. If anybody's going to notice the money going down, it's going to be his wife. And now she's putting pressure on him to look for other sources of income or threaten to quit the show. This is not Tim. This is not his normal personality. There's something different. And I'm trying to think, out of 5 years I've been watching the guy, the only one difference, even having a child won't change a man. But he got married a few months ago. And everything's been a little weird since then.
I'm probably going to have a stroke.
Bro, if you sitting on camera talking into a microphone like I'm doing now, if this is too much for you and you're going to have a stroke, then yeah, you do need to take a hiatus for a while, touch grass, go lay on a beach. You got to figure out balance. He does grind. He works his ass off. And by work, I mean he literally sits and talks to a camera probably 8 hours a day. He has a daily show, plus he does other videos and news stories in between. He's a busy guy. But when do you ever enjoy the fruits of your labor? And now he's watching, maybe their overhead is so high that he has to pay out of pocket. And now his wife is starting to notice, and she's putting the pressure on him that we need more income. And now he's going to admit to you in a second that there's these other forces, these other business people, these higher ups. But you're an independent person. Who's higher up than you? You're the owner. He's speaking about Israel and the Israel lobby. So I'll let him finish.
My health's actually pretty good. My blood pressure is great. My resting heart rate is actually around 45. I exercise quite a bit. Haven't been able to skate in the past month or two, the holidays, and But we have to have these conversations, and I have been with the people, our contractors, people we work with, our vendors, partners.
What partners? You mean people that pay you for advertising? You do a podcast where you sit in a studio and you talk into a microphone, you look into a camera. There, you don't have what partners? Phil Labonte, he's not your partner. Ian Crossland's not your partner. Serge isn't your partner. What Tim is indicating to us is that he's sold out. And now he's going to do what they say when they say it. And he's going to be their new attack dog. See, if you want to know what their attack dog looks like, this is what it sounds like.
You should never have an opportunity to do it again. And it should be an example to everybody in the world that if you ever think about trying something like this, your country will cease to exist.
That's big words from a small man. Your country should cease to exist if you attack Israel. So to hell with the citizens, the people there. Did Israel attack them first? Did Israel invade their sovereignty like they're doing in Syria, like they're doing in Libya? See, Brandon Tatum is open with the fact that he sold out. I think Tim is just barely going to come to terms with it right now. Oh, this is a little bit more from his audition reel. And again, I think he got the job.
And you know what you fucking told me? She has no security. She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these fucking conservatives out there that send me these fucking messages have no fucking balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these fucking messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't fucking DM me.
When you see a man that turns full female like that, that has nothing to do with work. That's problems at home. When you have a woman that's mumbling things to you and telling you things and you have to listen, it frustrates you. Married, well, for the most part, we were pretty much married. I've been engaged and living together. I remember when people would tell me that my behavior and my attitude and everything changed because at home I was being manipulated. It was tumultuous, and I was having this stress from this woman. She was pressuring me to go on vacations and let her mom borrow money and let her grandmother move in and do. But a year before that, I never had those issues because I didn't have this woman living with me. I didn't have this extra pressure. This has nothing to do with Candace Owens. This has everything to do with pressure at home. And now he has to go against everything he stood for, and it's creating a conflict in his spirit. That conflict manifests itself in anger. This is not organic. This is not normal. Usually it's a lead up. There's no lead up. This is just all of a sudden out of the blue. He's been on Candace Owens' show. They're cordial. She's been on Timcast before. People who don't know the history are thinking that this is just out of the blue. These are people who are familiar with each other. They should be on the same page. If Tim was a real friend, he would also be trying to figure out what happened to Charlie. But this piece of shit's now worried about the fucking midterms. So wait a minute, you're trying to convince us that the people we should be worried about voting for in a few months, who possibly could be the same people that killed Charlie, you want us to just not focus on what happened to Charlie and just focus on who's the next person we're going to get elected? Yeah, Tim, go fuck yourself.
Like I did something for you as you cower, as you fucking cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right fucking now.
Tim, you're doing this to yourself. Every day for the past week, you've been talking about Candace because she's hot, because her show is number one. The jealousy and the envy are coming out of your pores. But this is what people do when they want to draw attention on themselves and get the eye of their target. His target is Israel and the money. And now that he's attacked a big enough target, they've noticed him. And then he starts to say how he's recently had some conversations and some things are going to be changing.
And one thing is clear. The violence will get worse. It is going to escalate. We cannot keep going as status quo.
You know, it's crazy. When Candace called him broke, he got online and bragged about how wealthy he is. But now he's changing his tune and saying how they can't even afford to keep doing a show where he talks into a microphone in a studio. How expensive could this be? But he's saying now they can't afford it because overhead's too high. And I guess they're not bringing in enough money. How this relates to Candace, I don't know. You're in your own separate lane. You guys don't even work together. But you're blamed. But it's not like, you know, this has nothing to do with Candace. But Candace is the enemy of those who are passing out big checks. Remember, a few days before Charlie Kirk was murdered, he turned down a reported $150 million offer from Netanyahu himself. Now, what did Netanyahu want from TPUSA and Charlie Kirk for that 150? I guess just good publicity. Who knows? But I know this, ever since people found out that that rumor was true, the sharks have been sticking their heads up, and we know who they are. Now, one of the first ones to jump us was Mr. Tatum. He made it clear, but Tim was right behind it. And I'll be honest, it's because of the pressure from his new wife. She wants that money. He was never this greedy. But now look, I mean, when I tell you everything's changed since he officially got married, only a few months ago, everything's changed.
Something has to change. It may be that, as we described after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the threat shoot up our studio and our workplace, we asked, at what point do we say we can't do this anymore? The cost of running Timcast IRL Studio and the projects around it exceeds the amount of money it brings in.
And this is when he lets Israel know what his price is. See, he went spending an entire week talking about how much money Candace is making, how much money her show's bringing in every episode, how that's pissing him off. He spends an entire week doing that. And then at the end of the week, he's now sitting here sad, talking about how they need money. He's literally calling out for the Jewish people in Israel to come and make him an offer. He stuck his head out there. He attacked their biggest enemy. And now he's saying, please come save me. Come make a deal with me. I'll take whatever offer. Please make her lucrative. We have a lot of expenses. We need a lot of security. And if you do that for me, I'll attack anyone you want, anytime you want. You just tell me. Because Tim does have a big audience and he has a lot of influence. I mean, he's no Candace, he's no Charlie, but he's definitely entertaining. He can hold a tune. But he just said there's going to be some big changes. And to say that all of a sudden your internet show won't be able to stay on the air past the 19th, he's also giving them a deadline of how much time they have to bring him a check before he changes his mind. This is how sideways negotiations work. He's a sellout. Brandon Tatum is a sellout. He did all this excessive emotional framing. He did a manufactured outrage cycle. And then he was over the target on a specific person. And then increasing desperation with the decreasing authenticity, we're able to discern that this was all just an audition reel to get the attention of Israel, because everyone else has been being given offers except for him, and he wants a big one. Him and Tatum, he's using Brandon Tatum's playbook, except he went after a bigger fish. Candace Owens is bigger than Gaza. Tim went after a bigger fish, but this fish bites back. So he's been feeling the pain. But even with loss in revenue and lost subscribers and lost viewers, if he can bag this Israel fish, it'll make up for it tenfold. And that's what's the strategy this entire time. This was never about Candace. This is not really even about Israel. It's about the fact that his wife is in his ear about money. He's getting desperate and he's willing to do whatever he can do to save himself. And that's it. You know, us men, unfortunately, we get into survival mode. And since his wife now has access to his finances and she's managing everything, I had a business partner that I used to do business with. And when it came time for us to get into another project, his new fiance talked him out of spending any money on anything business-wise, but yet she was telling him, let's take that cruise. Let's go to Greece. Oh, that Chanel purse, this Gucci backpack, all this other nonsense, but she doesn't want to put any money towards any investments or business stuff. That's women. He's the one making the money, but she feels like she's behind the scenes, so I'm going to tell him what to do with it. But she's poor. So how the fuck would she know? And why are you listening to her? But unfortunately, you get them pregnant, you get married, and now you're in a situation where, well, you're going to be in trouble if you don't. Those are all distractions. And people are envious of someone like Nick Fuentes because he never had that distraction. And we don't even know how to feel about it. I mean, think about it. There are some men that become monks or become priests, and they're virgins their entire life. They've never chased women. They dedicated their life to God. And when you think about how much peace and clarity those men might have, I mean, 10 years ago, I would have said that guy's a fool. You should want to be out here with women, this and this. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, Jesus, Nick is light years ahead of everyone else. And then Piers Morgan, who's making fun of him, when you look at his wife and who she is, I mean, she breaks up with him periodically. She's an open cheater. She pretends they're in an open marriage. She constantly embarrasses him. Constantly. Do you know what kind of pressure that puts men under? Do you know how many men commit suicide? Because men don't commit suicide necessarily because of finances. Because if a man's single and he goes broke, bro, we'll go get a studio apartment, some noodles and an air mattress, and we will be happy. But imagine losing your job. Imagine losing any money, but you're married. And your wife, well, she likes money. We're all adults. We all have the internet. What have we seen men do when they have a woman or they have kids? They lose their job, their business goes under, they hit some rough times. What historically have we seen a lot of men do when they run into that type of pressure? You know, we call that a fall from grace. A lot of men don't survive it. A lot of men will take out a life insurance policy and self-delete just to save his family from the embarrassment and the shame of going poor or going broke. Even if it's just a temporary dip, you think a woman is going to be understanding about, well, yeah, we're gonna just struggle together. I'm gonna go get a little job to help. These women aren't like that. Those are women that you see on movies and these TV shows. In real life, that's not how it works. So unfortunately, Tim is under so much pressure, more pressure. Think about it. He's been doing this show for years, never took any breaks. He would skateboard. The difference is this year he's married and with the kid. A whole new set of pressure that I've been watching people try to psychoanalyze Tim for the past couple of weeks. Not once anyone's ever brought up this point. And that just shows you how powerful women are. Men are so afraid to even talk about reality if it involves them, because you can't blame them for anything because they have an issue with accountability. But there are men that work in Wall Street, and if their stock drops, even if they got to wait for it to go back up or they hit hard times, they jump out of those buildings and in their lives because they'd rather go to heaven than to go home and face their wives. That's where Tim is at. And honestly, Brandon Tatum is also married to a woman who's developed a taste for the finer things since his check that he used to get from being a police officer. Now that he's a internet personality, has gotten bigger. Well, so does your taste. It grows. So does your overhead. So does your new mortgage, your new house payments. Men don't really need these big ass houses and all this. We get this stuff for the women. If we were single and alone, we'd just be in a really nice luxury apartment somewhere, again, with a PlayStation, some noodles and an air mattress and our computer, and we will be happy. But you do a lot of excessive stuff when you're trying to keep women and impress them, especially when you get married. And that overhead goes up. And it's a lot of pressure every month on you as the man, because remember, she doesn't work. You do. These men blow their brains out every single day under the same type of pressure. And nobody is even considering this must be what Tim Pool is going through. So that's why I'm here to put this out there, talk to people about it. You guys can spread the words and have this conversation amongst each other. But this is what he is. And look at what the pressure from Brandon Tatum's wife is causing him to do. Look at how he's embarrassing himself in front of the world. This is a humiliation ritual, in my opinion.
Boy, if I was the prime minister, it's 48 hours. Give me 48 hours. And so it enraged me. And then I said my statement. I thought that most people in America were thinkers and had common sense. Well, shockingly enough, I was wrong, because after I said it, we see all this anti-Semitism popping up. We see mindless people on campus wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars getting no real education. And they're out here talking about from the river to the sea and don't even know which river it is. saying death to Jewish people and gays for Palestine. I said, I swear I'll pay for your ticket.
Yeah, calling for an open genocide against the home where children live. And you're not even being specific. You said basically carpet bomb the place and turn it into a parking lot. This guy is a real piece of shit. And it's a shame to see him because I followed him for years. You know, he used to be the dude that would be the police apologist. They do the police body cam footage and he would explain everything that the cop did that everyone thought was wrong. He would explain how actually they were following protocol. It was right. And there was a threat there, even if you didn't see it. I appreciated those body cam reaction videos from him. I do those now myself. To watch him go from that to giving blowjobs to Zionists like Netanyahu openly on video, it just shows you that the power of money is so strong. And when you're new to money, you know, I was fortunate. I made a lot of money very young. I've done well for myself over the years. It doesn't excite me that much. Actually, I think it's a curse. I would much rather not have a lot of money than just have tons of it. It really is more money, more problems. You can't even be your true self. I'm glad I'm not monetized or, you know, I have a couple of sponsors. They don't bother me about anything. I do their marketing for them. And they have other sponsors. They have other people that do their marketing, but I do their marketing. They appreciate my results, but I'm not beholden to them. I wouldn't know how to feel if someone came and said, Rico, I'm going to give you $1 million and I'm going to be your sponsor. Do you know what type of strings are going to be attached to that $1 million? And then once you get used to spending that $1 million, what if one day they call you and said, hey, I know you've increased your overhead. You got a new place, you got a new car, but we're going to have to take back that sponsorship money if you don't do X, Y, and Z. And now you've already started spending that bigger money. You're used to it. It's a part of your lifestyle. And then we wonder, do you understand what kind of pressure and stress that is on a man when you're an adult, grown-ass man, but you can't even afford to say no? Do you know what kind of consequences come with saying no? Imagine if you're a shop owner and the mob comes to you and the mob gives you $25,000 a month and they're running drugs or something in the back of your shop and you just turn a blind eye, you don't ask any questions, and they're giving you money. And 1 month they come in there and they say, hey, here's your 25, we're going to be in the back. And you decide to turn the money down. And you say, you know what? Not this month, not next month. Actually, I want out. When you're dealing with people like the mob, when you're dealing with people like the Zionist lobby, the ADLU, the Israeli lobby, the Republican Jewish coalition, it's the mob. You can't, once you're in, there is no getting out. Don't believe me? Ask Charlie Kirk how it turned out when he said that he didn't want to take the money from the Jewish donors that he complained about in those text messages, or when he turned down that money from Netanyahu and when they offered to bring before he was killed. See, when you have been taking their money for so long, and then one day you decide you want to stop, there is no stop. It's over when they say it's over. You don't get to decide when you quit. They do. So again, these men, they seem so out of character because this isn't their typical character. They're being influenced by women. It's the women that's driving them to go after that money. And to get that money from Israel, they will do any and everything. Listen to Tim Pool, who claims to be this super wealthy guy. Listen to him beg for a couple more minutes.
That's just that breaking point, isn't it, for any business? If you need $100 to, run your restaurant, but you're only bringing 90, you go out of business. The issue? The cost isn't cameras or lights. The cost is security. because of the escalation. It's an artificial cost to doing business that we can't balance. We can't forego security, but we can't sustain it either. So I've had some conversations with our partners, been talking with Rumble. There may be a solution, and it's going to be rapid change very quickly. We're going to have some emergency meetings. We've already had emergency meetings for obvious reasons. And there is a possibility that the 19th is the last episode of Timcast IRL.
Yeah, this guy is full of shit. For one thing, I don't see him quitting when there's money on the table. But again, he's giving them an artificial timeline on when he needs. You have to read between the lines. He's letting them know when he's going to need to be contacted or get an answer by. He's basically saying, hey, this is a limited time offer. I'm in dire straits. Please, someone rid me of these bills. Does anybody want to offer some money? I'm not saying who, but I'm here and I'm available. I've just attacked your biggest enemy. Contact me. Oh, yeah, there's going to be big changes. Dude, you sit in front of a camera and you talk about the fucking news. There is nothing that's going to be gargantuan. Now, don't get me wrong. You do bring on guests and you guys sit there and go over news stories. You guys aren't building buildings. You guys aren't lifting concrete. And don't get me wrong. Even me sitting here, it took me almost an hour to set this up. Thumbnails, description, headlines. You got to have certain bullet points, configuration with your audio and visual. Even though I don't have the best camera, I'm using one of my phones, their camera, but it takes time. And then it's not easy. Nobody wants to be on camera. You don't know how you look. Sometimes your face looks fat on camera. You're wondering what people are going to think about you. It's draining. I understand that. But it's not brain surgery. It's not actual hard labor. You don't develop calluses on your fingers from sitting here reading the news and talking to people through a device like a camera. It's not that. But they want to pretend that it's a lot of work because they want you to be paid. And what Tim just did was an audition reel. And he's letting these people know he wants top dollar, not that 7,000 a post bullshit. He needs something long term. He needs to bring home the bacon. Every episode, I'm just gonna go live in a van by the river. Yeah, that was before you have a wife. That's no longer on the table. You're in this. And the only time Tim is going to quit Timcast or quit doing business and quit taking that money is if he magically decides to unalive himself and self-delete. That's the only way he's getting out. Once you start taking money from these people, there is no such thing as no longer taking money from these people. It's blood in, blood the fuck out. You think Charlie Kirk, you think that was random? He turned down their money. It was days later before they literally deleted him in front of the world. I haven't seen something that horrific since Obama had them delete Gaddafi in front of the world back in 2011? I still remember that. The richest man in Africa, because he didn't know, he no longer wanted to take money from the World Health Organization and the EU. He said, hey, we don't even want your fiat currency for our oil. I'm actually setting up something called a dinar, where I'm making currency out of gold reserves. You guys got to buy, you can use your fiat to buy some of our dinars at the value we set. And then you can use our dinars to purchase minerals and oil from us. But we're not just going to be accepting your fake paper anymore. And they wiped him on camera in front of the world on video. And then I saw what they did to Charlie. And I found out that they had just made him another offer that he couldn't refuse, but he refused. So Tim Pool doesn't understand that he's biting off more than he can chew. But the only time you get a blind spot like this is when you have a woman in your ear and you have pressure at home. A gambling habit won't do it. A drug habit won't do it. A woman habit won't do it. But a marriage absolutely will. So that's why, even though it's so funny to watch him make himself look like a fucking clown and embarrass himself, and and he has Phil and Ian so cucked, they're so afraid to say something, but they want to watch such a fall from grace. This is a guy who I used to watch every single day, nonstop. I paid the monthly membership to be a part of the Timcast members and their the website. I'm a part of all of it. To watch, and this is something, so you got to think about it. People don't just change overnight. I've been watching this man every day for years. All of this behavior is new. And all this behavior is the same typical behavior men go through when they start getting pressured about money at home. These wives will do it to you. And that's why they tell you got to pick wisely. But it's really hard when you're in a country where there's so much stuff that women want to buy, and you just got to find the right man that has access to those resources, and you have to be able to mentally control him. And that's your golden ticket. You don't have to go out and do tough labor or whatever. You got to manage. You don't manage the money. You have to manage the man. And I see that's what's happening with Tim. I see that pressure from Brandon Tatum. They're both married to women who are behind the scenes, and you don't know what type of taste or greed that woman has. But I know this. I know these men don't want to lose these women, and they'll do whatever they can to keep them. And to keep that money flowing, they're going to do whatever. And if that money ever stops, both of these men are done. There is no more of them just saying, you know what? I was working with Israel. I just decided to quit. I'm doing something else now. That's not it. You can't just quit the mob. Don't make no mistakes about it. This is the mob. Yes, Brandon Tatum sold out. Yes, Tim Pool sold out. But the pressure from the women at home, I'll be honest, you got to give them a pass because they know now what they do. And if hindsight is 20/20, it won't be until they're divorced, if they ever make it out of these marriages, that they'll see that they were a completely different person at this time. See, if somebody's this evil and duplicitous, they're like this consistently. This is not Tim.
Yeah, that was
I'm fucking done with these people.
That's not Tim. People are who they are across the board. That's not him. This also is not Brandon Tatum.
The reality is that Israel is one of our greatest allies. And for people to think otherwise, you fall in one or two categories. You're either ignorant or you simply hate Jews.
Again, Brandon Tatum never gave two pieces of dog shit about Israel until a few months ago when he found out about all that money they were passing around. So look, let me know if you agree or disagree. If you think I made some good points, I'd appreciate hearing it. I do this show independently. I appreciate the donations also. I didn't put my Cash App up this time, but I do appreciate all the support, watching my videos. I appreciate the feedback, and when people tell me what they think. I'm on 8 different platforms. I'm just barely getting the YouTube stuff going, so if it takes me a second to reply to your comments, please give me grace. I do a lot of these shows every day, so I'll get around to them as fast as I can. But over 100,000 views in the past few days, you know what? This is just a blessing. Even with my small subscribers, because I don't push people to subscribe or to like. I'd appreciate if you did, but I always forget to ask, because once you get going in this mode, you get a little nervous and you kind of forget stuff. And then when the video's over, I'm like, fuck, I should have said this, should have said that. So maybe I should put like a little Post-it note that tells me what I should say at a certain time. But I'm speaking like it's just you and me. This is live. I don't do edits. I don't like doing pre-recorded shows where I put my commercials in there. My commercials from my sponsors are usually at the very end of the video or at the very beginning. And I'll shout out the sponsors and I'll do a little ad read during the show. I just prefer to do that because I like to read stuff live with the audience. You guys see it right when I see it. It's not pre-planned, so I can try to make you think about things a certain way. I want you to look at it when I look at it, and we both can decide how we feel about it. You don't have to donate any money to me. I appreciate you just the views and you just liking the video on whatever platform you're watching me on. I'm on 8 of them. The Single Boyfriend, pretty much across the board, or Right Wing Rico on YouTube. Either or. Just keep in mind, these men are destroying their legacies and their lives and their reputations because they have evil, greedy women at home. Never forget that. America first, America only. And I'll be back tomorrow with more videos. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.